What's going on, everybody? I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, and at the time of filming this, I am still alive. But if you're seeing this, there's no guarantee. No, I'm joking. Things are spicy, though, and I do want to, up top, thank each and every one of you for all the well wishes and the check-ins. A bunch of you guys have written to me on Instagram, to my email, here on YouTube, making sure that I'm good to go. For those of you who don't know, Southern California, specifically the greater Los Angeles area, where I live, is on fire. It is, like, everywhere. The fire is everywhere. And it looks like it's snowing outside, and it's like, wait a minute. It doesn't snow in SoCal. And it's actually just ash. Like, I don't know if you can see, there's like a kind of like a golden orange hue here in the office. And it's because the outside is like Silent Hill. Yeah, it looks like Silent Hill, where there's like ash particulate floating around, but then also the sky is on fire. So it's like overcast, foggy, ashy, and orange. It's very unsettling and crazy. And last night, Sammy and I lost power where we live, so I wasn't sure if when we woke up in the morning, I would have power in the office. I came into the office here where I film, and I do have power at the moment. But we learned that the fire hydrants, we got a warning last night that the fire hydrants have ran out of water because the reservoirs were not filled. We found out that it's not just where we live that lost power, obviously. It's multiple areas that has lost power. And there's widespread looting, of course, because if there's one thing you can count on humans to do, it's to make bad scenarios even worse. So I'm not here to sob to you guys, but I do want to thank you for all the support, and I hope that everyone out there is also okay. But I want to take this opportunity to go over something that is kind of in my wheelhouse, which is gear, EDC, and preparedness, and down to the watch that you have on your wrist. So without further ado, let's go over some things that I have on my person and at my house, in my vehicle, and blah, 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 that I feel confident with in this scenario. And that might not help you right now, because if you're watching this, you know, you're already in the but hopefully you can have these things ready for next time. So I'll go ahead and tell the time, and then, we'll get into it. It is 1:27 p.m. Let's get down to business. Okay, so the first thing that I made sure I had a lot of, and this is something that I always make sure I have a lot of, but the second that things got bad, I took inventory and I was like, okay, we're good. Water! Listen, guys, even the local government is saying that they are running out. So, it's pretty important for you to have some. Now, depending on the amount of space you have, it's always a good idea to have large quantities of water. And the easiest that I've found, the easiest to store, the easiest to move, are those 2.5 gallon spigot containers that have a little spout on them. Again, they have handles, very easy to move in and out of vehicles, very easy to store because they're pretty much rectangular. You can stack them, you can put them next to one another, and I have a lot of those. And listen, it's not only good for like survival scenarios, but also like I just have them on hand because we go camping a lot, and it's just like nice to be able to throw a bunch of those in the truck and just head into the woods. But that's not it. You should also have other ways to maybe not create water, but create drinkable water. I'm talking about filtration systems, little devices like the Life Straw, and water purification tabs. These are things I have a lot of in my camping equipment and my kind of little survival stash. Next up, food. You know, we just spoke about water. Obviously, you should have some food on hand, food that you don't have to worry about refrigerating because we lost power, so that refrigerator ain't gonna be cold forever. Ideally, MREs, which I have, canned food, things that you can eat without needing to cook. Ideally, things that have a nice long shelf life, a high calorie content. I'm not a prepper by any means. I'm just prepared reasonably. Okay, I don't have like a bomb shelter that I'm gonna go into with a bunch of canned goods that I've canned for the last decade and I rotate them and blah blah blah. No, I'm just reasonably prepared, and these are things that you can do that won't cost a lot of money, but you should definitely have on hand. So again, water, ways to make water potable, and food that can last a long time, that you don't have to cook. Now, as kind of a little supplement to this, if you want to get a little fancy, have an alternative way of cooking things. And I'm not saying, okay, a lighter. I got a lighter and some paper. We're going to light this shit on fire, because right now, come on, I think we have enough fire, all right? But something as simple as like a camp stove. You've seen in some of my content, I use my trusty dusty Coleman camp stove, and I have some little propane tanks, and it's very easy to get a fire going, and it doesn't require any electricity. You just spark it up, and it goes. Next up, security. All right, personal defense. This is something I take very, very seriously, not only during, survival situations, but just every day. It's not like you should only care about protecting yourself when things get bad. You should be prepared and willing to protect yourself so that things don't get bad. And if it's legal where you are and you are comfortable doing so and you are trained adequately, and I don't even want to say adequately, I should say proficiently, I would recommend things that you can keep on your person, things that you can keep in your household and home, things that you train with regularly to make sure that no one is going to harm you, and as a way to deter people from harming you and the ones you love. Specifically, I am referring to firearms, and I am lucky enough to live in the United States of America. We have the Second Amendment, and this is my trusty dusty Ruger GP100 357 Magnum. Now, this isn't the only firearm that I own. I've shown you some of the firearms I own. This is one of the first firearms that I've ever owned. And again, it's a very trusty one, very reliable one. It's an old school revolver, double action, and it packs a punch, boy. But I'm not saying you gotta go out there and get a freaking hand cannon, a 357 Magnum, 44 Magnum. No, like anything will do as long as you're comfortable and you're well trained with it. You are proficient, and and as long as you're a God-fearing, red-blooded American and it's your God-given right recognized by the Constitution of the United States of America. I'm making jokes here, but the truth is it's actually very serious, and it's something I have a lot of experience with, something that my parents raised me and my siblings with. We lived in rural New England, so having firearms and learning how to use them is kind of just normal. I know for people that aren't from the United States, it might seem, kind of foreign and weird, but we are getting reports that, again, humans making bad situations worse. They are taking advantage of people losing their homes and livelihoods, and they are looting. They are going into restricted areas that are currently on fire, and they are risking their lives so that they can steal other people's stuff. So it's not just in the places that are directly affected by flames. It's also in surrounding areas where there are blackouts and people just, vulnerable. So if, having all the incredible water and food and gear, that's all well and good. But if you're not able to protect your life or the life of your loved ones, then what is any of this worth, right? And speaking of protecting your life and the lives of your loved ones, having a simple med kit, all right, and learning how to use it. So I have a trauma kit in many of my vehicles, actually every single one of my vehicles, but there's a big one that I take camping that I keep in the truck. This has everything from simple first aid like cuts and boo-boos to burns, all the way to some serious trauma situations, stabs, deep wounds, bleeds, gunshots even, tourniquets, quick clot, things called Israeli bandages. Oh my God, he said Israeli, that stupid Zionist. Because again, you want to be prepared. So even if it's something as simple as having a paper cut, all the way to falling down and scraping your knee, you want to be able to clean these wounds and at least do something until you can get to emergency services or until emergency services can get to you. But in that med kit, you should also have an ample supply of your prescription meds. People often focus a lot lot on tourniquets. And, ooh, I need quick clop because if I get shot in the arm, I want to be able to do a tourniquet with one hand, and then I'm going to reach down, reload my sidearm, and then I'm going to rack it against my chin, and then I'm going to engage the enemy. It's like, okay, yeah, but what about your blood pressure medication that you're supposed to take twice a day? Oh, you didn't think of carrying that with you? Okay, well, now you're going to die of a heart attack, and you're not even going to get into a cool gunfight. Like, come on. You got to have your heart and blood pressure healthy enough to get into the inevitable gunfight that you will have with the overarching alien units that come down that started these fires in the first place. See, I'm not crazy. Again, I'm making jokes, but yeah, we focus a lot on very intense, really cool gear and things. But the truth is, it's like you should also have a lot of the stuff that you actually need to have every day. Things like, over-the-counter heartburn medication, aspirin, or like simple painkillers like that. All the things that you use daily, make sure you have enough of them, especially in a survival situation. Next up, lighting and power. That's right. I've spoken about some of this stuff during some of my camping EDC videos, but I always have a flashlight on me pretty much. My vehicles always have numerous flashlights on me. In my rucksack, I have headlamps. I think I keep a headlamp in my main trauma kit also because, again, what good is a trauma kit if you can't see what you're trying to pull out of the kit? So I have a lot of these really cheap little lanterns that you can find in multi-packs on Amazon. Dude, I was at a Harbor Freight buying a jerry can, which we will talk about in a moment, and right by the checkout, they had those expandable lanterns, the battery powered lanterns for like $4. So I bought 5 of them, and yeah, they're not like the best quality, but if you just have them on a shelf in your house, it's like they're not gonna break because they're just gonna be chilling there. And as long as you replace the batteries, they're just gonna work. So we lost power. Guess what? Boom, I had a bunch of them on hand. And then we have the higher end flashlights and weapon lights and headlamps and stuff just in case. Again, kind of like icing on the cake. So we spoke about lighting, but what about power? Okay, I invested in a pretty heavy duty, I believe it's a Blackfire. I forgot the wattage, but I have this really awesome Blackfire Tools power bank, and it does everything, and it lasts a very long time. It holds a lot of power. I think on a full charge, it's like 100 hours depending on what you use it for. But honestly, if you're using it just to charge your devices like your Garmin GPS, your phones, your tablets, your lights, it's going to last a good long while. And I always have that ready to go. And again, I didn't just get that for the odd survival scenario where the world is ending. No, I got it because we use it camping all the time. It's something I trust, something I've used, and I've used it a lot, and I've never gotten to the end of its power. So yeah, really cool piece of equipment. I'll leave a link to everything I'm talking about in the description below in Amazon links. So that should help you guys also. Okay, next up, I mentioned my rucksack. Okay, you've probably heard online people talking about go bags. You need to have a go bag with your plate carrier. And it's like, okay, all the tactical stuff, yada, yada, yada. But the truth is, we are on evacuation watch. And they are actively evacuating pretty much every surrounding area. So people are having to leave their homes. Another thing to consider is while they were evacuating people, they literally told them, okay, stop your cars. Like, stop your cars now. You guys got to go on foot. Like, we need you to go now. And so then all the cars were blocking the roads, and they had to take a literal, bulldozer and move the cars off the road so that emergency vehicles could get to the fire. It was just insane, and it's happening right now as we speak. But if you don't have a way to carry some of the things that you need on your person or for this survival situation, then you're screwed. You can't just have things rolling around in your vehicle. And that's why I always have my rucksack ready to go with certain things that I know I will need. I will give you a little example. Spare change of clothes. A version of that med kit that I was talking about with some first aid and trauma equipment. Basic toiletries. I keep a Garmin GPS unit with that SOS function in there charged, ready to rock. Flashlights. Other EDC tools that are pertinent to your life. I even have some cash in small bills ready to go just in case I need it. Because I'm going to give you an example. Let's see, we were at a CVS last night. All the systems went down. They were only able to sell things with cash. I was at a 7-Eleven this morning getting a jug of water. Actually, it wasn't even a jug. It was this bottle. I was going to get this bottle of water. Systems went down, and they couldn't. Everyone had to leave the store, which was really frustrating. And I just had enough cash on me to buy this water, and I was like, "Man, that's really stupid. I thought I had more cash on me." So I have some in my rucksack. I should probably have some more on my person. But again, in this digital world, you can just pull out your phone and pay with your phone. So yeah, but technology is great when it works, but in these situations specifically, you can't rely on it. So speaking of EDC items that you can easily have on your person just to get up and go, you gotta have a decent watch on your wrist. And this is not a pitch for you to buy something from the Time Teller shop or from the Time Teller Amazon affiliate store. No, it's just that, like, I always talk about, like, the resilience and reliability of certain watches. This is not a G-Shock. This is a Casio Illuminator, but it's like G-Shock's younger brother. 100-meter water resistance rating, very durable, and I just know it's going to work. And it has a backlight, so again, when you lose power, instead of having to like shine a light on it or put your headlamp on it, it's nice just to be able to, hit the button. Where is it? Oh, and it's like I'm a weatherman. I don't know where the camera is. Okay. Easy to press the button and have it light up. So yeah. The next thing I want to talk about that I'm very passionate about is transportation. Okay. Again, sometimes you'll just get screwed regardless of what vehicle you have, because they might tell you, no, leave on foot. But I'm going to tell you right now, even if they're not doing that, like, the wind is so bad. There's so much debris all over the street. There's small branches, trees have fallen in the streets, and some cars just aren't able to get down the streets they live, which is crazy. And so I will pretty much never not have a vehicle that has decent ground clearance and four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. And my current everyday vehicle is not my M3 or my 911. Those are fun little toys that I, again, have fun with and had a lot more fun with before my injury. But the vehicle I drive daily is my Ford Maverick Tremor. And I specify the Tremor because that one has the advanced four-wheel drive system is what they call it, but really it's just kind of a very sophisticated all-wheel drive system. Locking diff has all the different terrain modes, and it's different drive shaft. It has some different skid plates and armor on the bottom, but I've put on an HRG off-road lift on it, so it has just about 3 inches extra of lift, and it has some larger all-terrain tires on there, and I have some high-vis lighting. And specifically, I've chosen a very warm amber light up top and some yellow lights for like some ditch lights, and those cut through inclement environments. So like if you're in the desert, like when we go to Alabama Hills or Joshua Tree and it gets really windy and sandy, that not only cuts through so that we can see the surrounding area, but other vehicles and people can see our vehicle. And again, there's a whole lot of science when it comes to the way light works based upon its color and frequency and blah, 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 blah. But all I know is warmer colors tend to do well in fog, rain, sand, and of course, like smoke. So that's why I chose yellow and amber. Amber's such an interesting name. Every girl named Amber I've ever met is a slut. So I have my little pickup truck. It is automatic, which is great because I have a pretty substantial leg injury, and driving a manual transmission is just, it's not great. So driving with that automatic is awesome. It's small enough to use every day, has decent gas mileage, but it has the off-road chops enough for what I use it for, right? When we go in the mountains, when we go camping, it's not some crazy rock crawler, but with all the technology and drive modes and the locking diff and the advanced four-wheel drive and that extra ground clearance and tires, you know, it's a very, very capable car in the mountains, or I should say off pavement or off road. Now, along with that, okay, I carry extra fuel. This is stuff that I have safely stored year round. I carry extra fuel in jerry cans or gas cans. And, you know, where's the first place that gets inundated and overwhelmed? Gas stations, right? Whenever any of this stuff happens, everyone clogs up the gas stations, blah, 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 and I just don't want to deal with that. So I always have gas ready to go for my vehicles because I don't want to be that person who's stuck with an empty tank or in line at a gas station, just for them to tell me that they're out of gas or they're turning people away or their system's down or blah, 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 blah. I just don't want to deal with it. And again, I have to reiterate, have some form of GPS and maps. Okay, so I carry a Garmin InReach that I've shown you guys many a time with that SOS module, and I pay a subscription for it, so I know damn well it should work. And if that goes down, then we will use maps. So be familiar with your area and have alternate routes, have paper maps, and yes, have some form of GPS. So, okay, those are easy things you can do and have, and I hope this list helps someone in the future, but here's some extra considerations. Okay, I don't have children, all right, yet, but I do have family members, parents, siblings. I have my better half, Sammy, right? And her parents and siblings and family members. And then also we have pets. So it's important. So like in my life, right, we have to have some way of transporting the pets easily. So pet carriers, have a supply of food for them, have all required identification. So like they're all microchipped, have some way of retaining them so they don't just escape and run away because they will freak out the more you move around. And with kids, same thing. Have their identification, have a way of keeping them close. I'm not saying you have to have that weird, cringe child leash, but, you know, you're a parent, you can figure it out. And then the final consideration is probably the most important one, which is have a plan, okay? All the gear and preparedness when it comes to things that you have is great, right? But if you don't have a plan of action, or you're not like, you have no understanding of how or when to use these things, then it's all for naught. They're just useless. So you can get really deep with this, and we can talk about this in future episodes if you want, but having a plan of action, assigning responsibilities to the people in your life, like, okay, if something goes down, if there's a crazy earthquake, or if we need to leave, you need to be the one to grab the bags. I'm going to grab the water. You're going to grab the kids, like blah, 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 right? So it's important. So yes, have the gear, know how to use the gear, but know when to use the gear and what you're going to do when you have to use the gear. So anyway, I hope this was a helpful kind of EDC focused episode. Again, I'm no prepper. I'm no tactical SEAL Team 6 operator. I'm just some guy who wants to be reasonably prepared. And right now, at the time of filming, I'm very happy I have all the things that I mentioned. Aside from the kids. Don't have kids yet. Probably have some kids running around somewhere. I was a crazy guy in college. Let me tell you. I'm just kidding. I'm joking. All right, guys. Well, you know, thoughts and prayers would be great right now. I pray that the fire doesn't get any closer than it already is. I don't want to have to evacuate. I hope when we go home tonight that there will be power over there. Right now, there's power. I hope I can get this footage out to my editor. And, yeah, apparently the winds are supposed to get even worse tonight. So that's you know, fire and wind. It's not a great mix. It's a great mix for the fire, not a great mix for the people who don't want the fire. So yeah, and if you want to get a little more insight about the fire itself and how I think it started, and just some maybe darker aspects of this, go to my other channel, youtube.com/@canweusethатword. We'll put it on screen here. Subscribe over there, and yeah, it's we're gonna get into some stuff. All right, guys, love you. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay blessed. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller. Always remember, I didn't invent time. I just tell it.